Hey team, welcome to the Builders Ladder podcast that the top residential building company owners and general contractors listen to get their business ahead and buy back their time while earning more money. Here's what's in store today.
We're talking about women in construction, a male-dominated industry.
I actually get a little bit frustrated with this because people say to me, oh, it's a male-dominated industry, it must be really tough. And let me tell you, I've worked in other industries where the chauvinism and the misogyny was shocking.
What skills do you think great marketers have that lead to making them a successful chief executive?
The first thing that comes to my head is I do foresee that we're going to have a labour shortage in the coming years. And so let's get these women into the industry. It's a fantastic industry to be part of. It is incredibly welcoming, despite what some people may think.
The Builders Ladder is brought to you by The Professional Builder. Get proven systems and expert coaching to reclaim your time, make more profit, and build a systemised, profitable company that buys back your freedom.
Welcome to the Builders Ladder podcast, brought to you today by The Professional Builder. And today we're here with Sara Johnson, CEO of ITM. Great to have you here.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I appreciate being here, Marty.
You're most welcome. So Sara, tell us a little bit. We're going to be talking today about women in construction and specifically leadership, and how do you lead a changing and evolving dynamic business in a fairly well male-dominated industry. And I want to just kick off a little bit, give everyone a little bit about your background. I detect a slight accent, but it's not too strong. Where are you from originally, and what'd you do in your youth?
Oh, well, that makes me smile. I'm Kiwi through and through, born and bred. And I'm actually a born and bred Aucklander for my sins. Mm-hmm. And I grew up out on what's now known as Hobsonville Point. So back when that was gravel roads and farmlands. So I don't know what the accent's about.
No.
Probably just trying to speak posh.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's sounding very articulate.
But what you're probably referring to is I spent quite a long time overseas.
Yes.
Right. So that's certainly a big part of my career trajectory to date. Mm-hmm. If I kind of go back a little bit, I came out of a degree in visual communications, photography and graphic design, because I always thought I was going to be a graphic designer and do cool stuff with art. Yep. And then I got out of that and realised that that's actually a really, really tough way to earn a living. And I had to pay my rent when I was flatting. And that's, those tough realities that you learn when you're in your early 20s.
Yeah. Where did you do your undergrad degree?
Just up here at Unitec.
Okay.
Yeah. So heaps of fun. Reality check. I needed to earn a bit of coin. So I went and got a proper job and I worked for Carter Holt Harvey back in the day. Yeah. And I was doing a sort of a sales role there, and that was awesome. I was on the road. I learnt heaps, but my interest and my real sort of fascination with what we were doing was around marketing. And we're going back to, late 90s, early 2000s, if I just take you back in time. And there were definitely glass ceilings back then, even in sales, like as you can imagine. And glass ceilings in terms of the attitude that you can't progress in a career unless you've got the degree qualification. So I went, okay, what next? And I am also lucky enough to have a British passport as well as a Kiwi passport.
Awesome. So is that mum, dad, grandparents?
That's dad, yep.
Right.
So I packed my bag and I went off to the UK, but I decided to do my master's study at the same time to complement my undergrad degree.
Sure.
And that was fantastic. It was fantastic. But again, an intensive time of learning and being in a new environment and meeting amazing people whilst being broke.
Yeah, I hear you. I did my master's at Otago on marketing and fun times. What was your dissertation on?
It was actually on FMCG.
Oh, happy days.
Because I thought, marketing, I'll get into that world.
Fast-moving consumer goods.
Yeah. And, I've never even gone anywhere near that industry, strangely enough. I don't think that was a result of my thesis in that, though. But, amazing industry and lots of those principles around pricing, product, movement was that was really good to learn.
Absolutely.
But again, financial reality meant that I wanted to get out and start earning the coin pretty quickly, and I ended up at Vodafone. at the time.
In the UK or back in New Zealand?
No, in Holland.
Holland.
Yeah, you weren't expecting me to say that, were you?
No. I've been researching your CV, but you're dropping a few
I got to keep it interesting.
Here. Love it.
Yeah, so I at the time Vodafone Group was really centralising. It's a British company, right? So very much centralising, and they're bringing in a lot of diversity in terms of different cultures into their operations around Europe.
Yep.
And so I ended up in the CRM team. Back when we called it CRM, in the marketing team over at Vodafone in the Netherlands.
Wow.
And man, that was cool.
I'll bet.
Amazing company. At the time, they were the cheeky startup. They were taking on the world of telco, and huge energy within the organisation, and just heaps of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And at what stage did you come back to New Zealand? Like what brought you back here?
Oh, family, kids. I had a son, and that draw back to New Zealand brought me back here. And it was very much that Kiwi idea of I really want to raise my kids the same way that I've been brought up, with the beach and the forest and the snow and what have you.
And how many kids you got? How old
I've got two children.
Just like me. I got two boys, 10 and 13, and so much fun. Except in the mornings at 8 o'clock to 8:30 for my wife, getting them ready for school.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean.
Absolutely. And so you came back here, and what did you do career-wise for marketing roles?
Well, I stayed in marketing. So with that time overseas, you get exposure to big data, millions of customers in your customer portfolio. It's that kind of experience is just priceless.
Yeah.
And so I came back to New Zealand and went for Genesis Energy. Again, a great company, going through really, really interesting times, and I got to apply all that big data knowledge that I'd accumulated into the retail book and building out the retail book just before the IPO.
Oh, it's huge. I've got a good friend, Matt, who's the CMO for Spark, and basically one of New Zealand's biggest businesses, and their whole value and their predictive ability to improve the business via predicting the trends in the data is massive.
If you're the type of person who loves data and loves geeking out on stuff like that, it's fantastic.
Exactly, because it tells you what they're currently doing, where they're going, and if you can draw the inferences from this data's telling us this, the customers actually would prefer this, this, and this, then you can put a better offer in front of the timing better, look at your different channels.
Yep.
In terms of acquisition, retention. Yeah.
Yep. It's great. And I think that kind of leads me back to sitting where I am now and looking back over my career in marketing. I think, well, what are the attributes that you really want to see in great marketers as they come up through the ranks? And one of those is curiosity, and keep asking the next question. What's that going to tell you next? And any kind of marketing activity that you do, you've got to come with some curiosity.
Yeah.
And take a really fresh approach. Don't assume you know.
Absolutely. So I used to be the country manager for Pirelli, the tyre company in New Zealand 20 years ago. And at that stage, it was typical that CFOs, chief financial officers, and most chief executives came from a financial background. And in the last 10 years, it's been changing significantly to a marketing background. I don't know the data, but I'm sure there's a much higher ratio. What skills do you think great marketers have that lead to making them a successful chief executive?
Off the top of my head, the first thing that comes to my head is that curiosity. So the curiosity drives your hunger for knowledge, and it takes you into every discipline in an industry or an organization or in what it is that you do that you love, right? And you seek to understand it.
Curious about the customer, the channel,
everything. Absolutely everything. So you become like a sponge. And this is one of the common traits that I see in really good marketers. Great marketing thinking is absorbing everything and then turning it into something that can represent a brand or a business or how you engage with your customers. So it's sort of taking it in and then sort of spitting it out. That's what a CE should be doing, is reflecting what their company represents in the market And look, I marketing, I like to say marketing, the word comes from market. You got to know how to operate in your market, and good marketers know how to do that. They're always looking at the commercials, always looking at financials, your data, but also creative.
Exactly, 100%. And any lessons or stories that stand out from your marketing at Genesis, NZRPG, Mike Pero, ANZ, like any ideologies that you've taken forward or specific incidences that stand out that you've taken into your...
Many.
Okay.
As you asked me the question, I've got the good stuff and bad stuff running through my mind.
Quite often it's the bad stuff, right?
Yeah,
like you
yeah,
either win or you learn, and you're like, holy shit, we need to fix this. Like for us, we spend a lot of money on Facebook, and Facebook ads are being a lot more restrictive now with regards to the US election for the next 30 days. Yeah. So a lot of ad accounts are being flagged. So we're building our business rather than being platform risk. Like the most dangerous number in business is 1. So you want to cross-train your team so that they're not just solely vertical, but they're a T skill set and that they have the abilities in different ones so that if someone leaves, you don't have to reach down, or your team don't have to reach down into that. You can solve that. And I think if you're going to apply that to a business, you've got to think, well, how do we mitigate those risks? And then what should our strategy be going forward in relation to that?
I think you're right. Like some of the biggest lessons I've learned in marketing are around the mistakes and the failures. And wins, you can take a win and pat yourself on the back and carry on. But the mistakes, they should burn you. And if they're not burning you, they probably you weren't trying hard enough, you know?
Exactly. And internalize it and think, I never want to feel like this again. What is the lesson? What have I done wrong? What has the team done? What can we collectively learn to improve the process, the people, and the systems so that it never happens again?
Yeah, yeah.
So any incidences, or they don't have to be bad things, just any lessons or...
Oh, look, probably the biggest lesson that I had to learn a couple of times is when you are looking at work or you're about to put marketing activity out into the market, whatever it be, and you haven't listened to your customer carefully enough.
Yep.
You think, it's that piece that I said before, it's around you think you know, but you don't know. So you got to have a little bit of humility with it. You got to take a step back and say, am I really understanding what my customers are asking of me? Yep. Am I really in tune with what their actual need is?
Absolutely.
And just checking yourself, because, as I say, that's probably been one of the common themes of some of the big mistakes that I've seen in my career is taking something out there, you haven't checked it or you haven't researched it, or you've been in a hurry and you haven't done the diligence around making sure that it actually resonates with the people that you're talking to, and you've been disconnected. That's usually a pathway to having a bad outcome.
Absolutely. So what made you want to get back into the construction field after being in Carter Holt Harvey? Was it a yearning to get back to wood, or?
That's quite funny. No, it was, I actually ended up back into construction per se through a small development company. Well, it's not that small actually, it's pretty decent, but a privately owned developer. And I came out of there going, man, I learned a lot. And I learned about risk, and I learned about the financial management side of it, a huge amount there around construction, albeit commercial in the bigger end of town. But for me, one of my personal drivers in life is learning. Always got to be learning stuff,
Love it.
right? I've got to keep going.
Yeah. Growth mindset is everything,
Absolutely.
right? You're either growing or you're dying.
And I thrive when I'm in that environment where stuff's coming at me and I'm like, wow, that's fascinating. And that's that curiosity piece. Got into the construction world through that channel, working for a privately owned company. And prior to that, I'd been in corporates the whole time. And man, it's different. It's really different. And man, it's fun. And there's good, bad, and ugly with a smaller business or a privately owned business compared to the corporate world. But I took that step And there's a bit of insecurity coming out of the corporate world, taking that step, and that's all cool. That I learned a lot, and I realised that suits me more. It suits my personal drivers a lot more in terms of I like working for New Zealand businesses. I like working for businesses who are invested in their community, where the profits are returned into community. All of those value sets align more with what I'm doing in my career now than previously.
Absolutely. So, maybe if we could talk a little bit about ITM and how did the transition happen from marketing to the chief executive role? Tell us a little bit about why did you go in that direction?
Yeah, it's funny. I remember I heard about marketing role, the lead marketing role going at ITM, and I actually knew the woman that was in the role at the time, and I called her up and said, what's going on? It's such an awesome job. It's such a great brand. And she said, I'm off to have a baby. I'm like, oh, awesome. That's fantastic. Baby's always great news, right? I said, tell you what, can you put my CV in? And what attracted me to it is I've grown up with the ITM brand. Now, I'm not a builder. I'm not from a building family, but I've always had an ITM in my local neighbourhood. I've certainly gone there to shop in my DIY capacity over the years. Always knowing the brand and always really liked the brand because ITM is very clear on who they are. We know what we're about. We know who we're talking to and how we do it and the purpose of our existence, right? So from the outside, that really compelled me. And then coming into the organisation, helping them with their marketing, helping stores sort of form around the brand and really rally around it, that's just been awesome.
It seems to me from the outside looking in, having dealt with most of the brands, that ITM, because it is like a community-based, locally owned cooperative, goes hand in hand with having a higher trust factor potentially than some of the other corporate companies. Is that a driving value, or how do you?
I think it's an outcome. So I think ITM is a cooperative, 96 stores across the country, stores in so many communities across New Zealand, and that trust factor comes from the fact that the owners of those ITMs are probably going to help you in the yard. You're going to see them behind the counter. They're going to come and sort out, your job for you. Whatever you need, there's a very good chance you'll be chatting with the owner. And when you're the owner of your building business and you're chatting to the owner of the merchant, you're going to have a synergy and you're going to trust each other, right? It's just the nature of the way the cooperative works and how it's formed. Inherent to that, it just means those relationships are so much tighter.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what were your goals, or what big opportunities did you see when you came into the CE role for ITM?
Look, ITM it's a big organisation in terms of the scale of the cooperative, and when our organisation is working together and moving in the same direction, there's nothing like it. And I think it's quite infectious. It's quite, I actually talk about it as a family, and the good and the bad that goes with the family as well. And I think anyone in a cooperative will recognise what I'm saying by that. It's infectious in the way that the spirit and the community that you get with ITM when they come together, it's like nothing I've ever seen. And so when I came into the marketing role and it came into ITM for the first time, I felt like I'd found my people.
Yeah, awesome.
And I just really connected with what they were wanting to achieve in their business and how they wanted to look after their builders. And so from a community size view of the whole of ITM, they all have that same purpose and that same drive, and therefore they come together in a really unique way that I've never seen with any other kind of organisation.
I feel that the marketing really hits. Maybe it just speaks to me as a male petrol head, but the supercars, I've gone to all the ITM supercar events, rugby at a grassroots level, and then the We Speak Builder campaign. What what channels do you go through? What are you trying to achieve with your sponsorship channels and so forth?
Look, we want to have a bit of fun. It's actually that simple. So, building's hard. It's hard to run a business in building at the moment. It has been for the last few years. It's long days, long hours. You've got big responsibility to have the privilege to take your builder out and take them to the super sprints or take them out to Sail GP or whatever it is.
Yep.
It's an awesome opportunity just to spend some time away from the site with your builders.
100%.
And all of our stores really, really value it. So from a sponsorship point of view, yes, we like to be present and to be seen in those great moments where there's exciting action happening out on the track, wherever it may be, but also a chance just to kick back and have some fun with our customers.
Absolutely. A lot of builders, a lot of our members have multiple accounts with most of the merchants, or at least 2 or 3.
Yep.
What is ITM doing to attract, retain members, both new and existing, versus, say, the other players in the market?
I think all builders know who all the players are in the market, and they're all kind of clear on the different propositions that the different players in the market have. I think from an ITM point of view, most people know that you've got an owner-operator who's got skin in the game.
Yep.
And if you want that trusting relationship with your merchant, if you want to be able to call your merchant when the shit hits the fan and to be able to quickly get to a solution, then ITM's a really, really great option.
Yeah.
And that comes through experience. And we see more and more customers who have had negative experiences and are coming to us and going...
And they get a corporate policy approach versus a like-minded business owner that, hey, I've been through what you might be going through.
Yeah, exactly. And that's that trust that builds as well. And I think, look, that is probably the key difference and the key reason why our customers stay with ITM is once they are with us, they're really, really loyal. And it's quite hard to tease them off us. But ultimately, it's the skin in the game that you're talking to another business owner. You both want to do good, sustainable business. So we're not going to ever compete on price. That's not our gig. We're very much service focused. We're very much helping builders to build better and help them solve their problems.
Absolutely. And we're helping them to build better businesses as well.
Yeah.
So it's like hand in glove. So what challenges have you seen being a woman in a chief executive role, and how have you navigated those waters, because it's not always smooth sailing and never a calm ocean did a great sailor make.
Yeah, and it's so true. And look, and it's never smooth sailing for any CE, no matter what the gender is, right? Yep. I think being a woman coming into a role like this, you do probably stir up a little bit more conversation than what a guy would. And I certainly think with ITM, people had an idea about what the CE of ITM should look like, right? You have your expectations. And so my appointment to the role was, certainly got the gossip going, which is a bit of fun. But, from a welcoming point of view, from the shareholders within ITM, from the industry, it's been amazing.
Awesome.
It's been so cool.
Yeah.
And I actually get a little bit frustrated with this because I have so many people say to me, it's a male-dominated industry, it must be really tough. And let me tell you, I've worked in other industries where the chauvinism and the misogyny was shocking.
Yep.
And the building industry it's got nothing on what those industries were like. And the building industry is actually really, really open-minded and have been really awesome in terms of accepting more women and celebrating more women into senior roles, but also critical roles within businesses, be it QSing right through to tradies. It's been really cool.
And I've noticed that within our own business as we've grown. We've got 47 team members now in the Professional Builder, and 23 of them are women. And that's across every aspect of our business, from marketing, coaching. One of our coaches, Carla, runs her own architecture firm in Vancouver, had her own architecture firm. She's a full-time coach. Another one of our coaches, Tanya, she's based in Victoria. She's qualified QS, had her own construction company, and previously been a coach for GJ Gardner and also Refresh Renovation. So I think it is across every function in business and in construction. Is there anything that you're doing from an ITM perspective for diversity, inclusion, women in construction? Because we have a women in construction group now to support our women in construction and also the wives, if they're participating in the business, because most of the smaller businesses that are sub 5 mil, it's typically a husband and wife joint venture until they can, afford more
people,
to hire a project manager or to hire an office manager or whatever that role may be. Yeah.
Look, we don't have policy per se in terms of we must have representation. It's not to say that that's something we won't do. It's just something we haven't felt compelled to do just yet.
Yep.
But if I just think about our stores throughout the country, in most instances, it's a couple that's running the business and the business is equally on their shoulders. And even in 3, 4, 5 different stores I can think of, it's a woman that owns the store and runs the store.
Yep.
So I don't really see that imbalance from an ownership point of view because the voice of woman is equally as strong as the voice of men within ITM. From a supplier point of view, which is part of our extended family, right?
Yep.
I'm seeing a lot more women coming through in terms of going into those senior leadership roles, which is fantastic to see. From a customer point of view, if we look at our builders, you're right. And in most instances, it's a couple that are running the business and the stress is on both of their shoulders. And from my point of view, from an ITM perspective, when we're talking to our customers, we need to be talking to the couple, not the guy over beers at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Because typically they're both 50-50 shareholders in the business.
Yeah.
And the wife could well be playing multiple roles within there. And I think that's where our Women in Construction group provides support, it provides structure, we have weekly meetings for them. And also then we do office manager training days, we do everything from, shareholders, what are your obligations, how do you ensure that you function not just as husband and wife, how do you separate that, but also how do you function as business partners? Do you have a shareholder agreement? Do you each have job descriptions? Do you each have clear KPIs? Do you each have a structure to your week? And I think that can help to put that in place so that when the time does present itself and cash flow is there and you come to hire or bring someone in, you've already got the structure for that person to be successful in. And I think that provides a much clearer, you're able to separate the blurring of the lines.
I think that's really important to understand and to instigate the conversation and to know where those lines are. And there's some couples that work brilliantly together and there's some couples that will work at opposite ends of the building, but that's right for them.
Yeah.
And it's there's no one way to do it. But
Absolutely.
It's from that perspective, I would say that we have quite a balanced view in terms of diversity of thought within the group. The opportunity is to support more female builders coming through so they feel comfortable coming into the ITM space because they're welcome.
100%. What are some of the initiatives for ITM? What are the big opportunities that you see to improve the brand and grow the business going forward?
So I think this kind of goes to what we were just speaking of. For a lot of builders, a big part of what they are thinking about at the moment is their business. And from a merchant point of view, we're all thinking about our business as well at this point in time. It's a difficult market at the moment, and everybody has really been taking it a day at a time, looking at your month. How did you do? What's your pipeline looking like? From a day-to-day conversation on the yard or over the phone, we're really just talking about good business practice and sustainable business practice as well.
Awesome.
And that's the conversation that we have the opportunity with, because a lot of our owners have been in the game for a while, and this is their second, third cycle. And so they know what they're going to need to get through, and they're imparting that knowledge to their builders because they want to see their builders do really, really well. Inherently, right?
100%. Like happy, healthy, solvent building company owner
Yep.
is great for a ITM store owner and is great for the industry.
Yep.
And so that's our main modus operandi, is how do we help great builders build great businesses that give them both more time and more money. And we've been partnering with you on the ITM LBP Roadshow.
Yep.
Could you just speak a little bit to what you do business education wise, or what you see as being a big opportunity in that space to help not just the building company owners or store owners, but also the building company owners?
Yeah, so the LBP days that we run around the country, they're probably our big main education push, because the best thing to do is get everybody into the room on a day, get them to down tools and just focus and get those points. It's a great opportunity for suppliers to come and talk about some of the different things that they're doing. And with those days, we always try and put in something else to think about, whether about managing accounts or mental health. We've been doing a lot around mental health.
Yep.
You got their attention, right? So that's the best way to get that education support through. We do magazines and what have you, but most builders are time poor in terms of sitting down to read magazines or even go through social media. So stuff like this, podcasts and education days, brilliant.
Absolutely. I think stuff that they can consume on the go and turn their ute into a mobile, learning facility is great. And then it's a very tactile, kinesthetic industry. So anytime you can sit down over breakfast, over something to eat, I think you bond, you connect, you see that, people are here to help and to help them make a difference. So what are your personal goals that you're working towards, and what are ITM's goals, over the next 2 to 5 years?
So look, ITM is, as I said, it's a big operation up and down the country. One of the big things that we are driving towards is pulling all our data together, centralising our data and helping our stores perform well. And ultimately, performing well means serving your customers better, right? And that's all about putting the right pricing and product into the builder's hands immediately, right?
Absolutely.
So just evolving that from an organisational point of view. And then that culture that we have across ITM, it's fantastic. And so for me, what I would like to see is ITM to attract more great operators into the group. And what I mean by great operators is people who want to come along and get into a store, own a store one day and join the family. The finding these people, and we're a bit fussy. We like to be quite selective.
What sort of person makes a great store owner, and where and how do you find them? And do you help finance them in? Do you have a 50-50 funding, or
No, we don't. So we don't finance them in. We do tend to attract a lot of people who want to join ITM and are interested in getting involved. The criteria that I'm really looking for is someone who loves building, gets building, has been involved in it, or has that passion already, and someone who's willing to roll their sleeves up and help with the tie downs on the yard and really be an owner-operator in the true sense of the word, that they're going to come in on the weekends and open up. That level of commitment to their business and to their customers is core to who we are. And so that's kind of the selection criteria that we look for.
And so how do you decide where a new store should go? Do you already have these mapped out, like McDonald's maps out, where are the gaps in the market? Same with Starbucks. Do you have it, and how do you then what's the process that someone goes through, like if they are interested in, becoming a store owner?
So we look at it from a population, opportunity, consenting, business, builder, what kind of profile of builders you've got in that particular region.
Yep.
And that tends to stack up pretty quickly. And you inherently know where you should have a presence. And we also inherently have people talking to us who also see that opportunity. So it can line up pretty quickly. And from a how do we help them get up and going, we're not the McDonald's franchise model. It's not a cookie cutter approach. It's very much ideally someone local who wants to start selling some building supplies, but it's going to draw on their connection to that community to really get themselves going. Because that, in my mind, and call me old school, but being involved in your community is critical. It's a critical part of your marketing, your sales, sustainable business. That, for me, is the magic in getting a business going over those first few years.
So do many stores change hands? Like, let's say an existing owner wants to exit, wants to retire, wants to sell their business, and maybe they don't have a succession plan in place. Does ITM look at buying it back, or do you then invite expressions of interest and people have first right of refusal?
Yeah, that is what happens. So we invite expressions of interest, but often it's quite organic. So often that particular owner that's looking to get out has certainly been talking to me for a while and been talking to some other owners about their experience and where their thoughts are. Even our former owner community is still very tight with ITM as well. So a lot of that knowledge is imparted and shared. And look, we've got many different situations where, say you own a store in one region and you've gone in part share into another region and brought some new people into the group and to help them grow their business and grow their future. So it can happen many different ways. The core criteria I look at is who they are. Are they good people?
Yep.
And are they connected into their community? Do they have a passion for building?
Awesome. I love it. Yeah, it's critical, those key factors, because there's nothing worse than building a business that you don't enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. And any last golden nuggets that you'd share with either for women in construction, women thinking about coming into construction, or building company owners or your store members?
Yeah, well, look, when I first stepped into the CE role, a lot of women actually came up to me and told me it's amazing to see more women in leadership, and I was actually taken by surprise a little bit because it was obviously it meant a lot to a lot of the women in the industry, and there are some amazing women in this industry that are really doing great things, really, really cool stuff. So that's good to see, and it should be encouraged. My observation is that women aren't great at networking, whether it's just at events or in the networking events even, or, with customers or what have you. My piece of advice for women who really want to build their career into this industry is get out there and get networking.
Yep.
Be brave. Go and introduce yourself.
Join the TPB Women in Construction group.
For example, that's an excellent way to do it. But just take that moment and go and introduce yourself and say who you are and what you want to do. Why do you want to connect with someone? Most people are very, very open to that and are really keen to see more women come through in the industry and raise them up because, we've got a dearth of talent out there. I do foresee that we're going to have a labour shortage in the coming years, next year and year after. And so let's get these women into the industry. Brilliant. It's a fantastic industry to be part of. It is incredibly welcoming, despite what some people may think. And it's a very, very good career option for women to get involved with.
100%. And there is going to be, building activity is going to pick up significantly with interest rates reducing and net migration improving as well.
Yep. Oh, I agree. Yep.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much for today, Sarah. Great time talking to you.
Thank you so
And all
much.
the
I
best.
enjoyed talking to you.
Cheers.
Thanks a lot.
Want to go more in depth on today's topic and buy back more time whilst earning more money? Get a free business health audit and plenty of free resources over on our website, theprofessionalbuilder.com.